Hello, Year 7. So we are going to do some recorded demonstrations of the practicals you should have been doing. So every other week when you should have had a practical, we'll be doing your demonstration. So what I'd like you to do, please, is follow along with this video. I will also send out a form which has questions on it for you to answer. So you can go through the form and the video at the same time, or do it all after. I don't mind what you do. You could also use this recipe and do some practicals at home. If you do your practicals at home, that's fantastic. Just take a photo and then email it across so I can see what you've been doing. So today we're going to do some cupcakes. So we are going to start with 200 grams of self-raising flour. No, we're not. We're going to start with 200 grams of caster sugar in a mixing bowl. There, 200 grams. Okay, I've gone over, so just take some out. Okay, and then we're also going to use 200 grams of butter. So what I suggest is that your butter is softened a little bit. So leave it out on the side for an hour or so maybe, and then put it in little lumps like I'm doing. It's going to make the next process, the next stage, easier for you. Okay, so we've been doing, or what we should have been doing, is baking methods in your practical, in your new rotation. So we looked at scones just before half term, where we looked at the rubbing in method. We did this with the butter and the flour. This one, although we're using really similar ingredients, the processes, the processes are different, which provides a totally different outcome. So 200 grams of butter. I need more butter. Some more. Okay. Just going to record the lot and then cut it where I can. So like I'll cut all that out. Edit. This is a lot of butter. Right. Okay. So, 200 grams of sugar, 200 grams of butter in your mixing bowl. You then want to use a spatula. If you've got one of these, this is perfect. If you haven't got one of these at home, you can use a wooden spoon, that's absolutely fine. And what you're going to do is start smushing the butter and the sugar into each other. Okay, now the technical term is not smushing. The technical term for this process is creaming. Okay, so we're going to start the creaming method here. So you want all of that butter and sugar mixed in. You don't want to see any sugar. You can stop when the butter is light and fluffy. It should look a little bit like vanilla ice cream at the end of it. So this is why you wanted that butter soft. If your butter is slightly cold, you'll find this stage a little bit harder. You just have to work a little bit harder to get it properly creamed together. Okay. So that's what you're looking for. Okay, the reason we do the creaming method and we start like this is because it aerates our mixture. I told you just before Christmas, one of the most important ingredients in cooking, which isn't technically an ingredient, in baking, sorry, which isn't technically an ingredient, is air. Okay, air is really important for things to rise. The creaming method aerates the mixture. As we are mixing, like that, we're incorporating air into it. Okay, what it also does, it dissolves that sugar. Sugar's quite grainy. We use caster sugar because it's a smaller grain. If we didn't do this stage properly, what we might find is that our cupcakes just have like a grainy texture to them. It'd be like chewing on something with sand in it, to be honest. Okay, so we dissolve the sugar and it incorporates air into the mixture. Okay, good. So once you've got to that stage, you're going to add 2 eggs. There's sugar everywhere. Oh, I hate that noise. 1 egg, 2 eggs. Missed the bin. Okay, 2 eggs straight in. And then you're going to change your technique. So you're going to start to beat the eggs in now. Okay. So what this does again is it obviously breaks the eggs down, and it also incorporates more air into that mixture. Okay, so beat it in. You want it to be a nice smooth mixture. Sometimes it looks a little bit unattractive. This is one of the more unattractive stages of cake making, and it can curdle a little bit where it looks like it's split just at the edges here. That's absolutely fine. When we add flour, that will all come back together again and make a better looking mixture. So make sure those eggs are well beaten in. And then we're going to add our flour. When you are weighing your ingredients in, make sure you're taking your wooden spoons or spatulas out of your mixing bowl and you're resetting the scales. Some of the biggest problems with baking is that people don't use the scales correctly, and so the measurements are wrong, which then affects the outcome. Okay, you need to be really, really specific with baking. It's not one of those things you can fix after. You need to get it right the first time. Okay, so 200 grams of flour in there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to change your technique again, and rather than creaming or beating, you're now going to fold the flour in really gently. Okay, so we just did a lot of work to put all of that air into that mixture. We don't want to now knock it all out with this really heavy ingredient. So gently start folding it in. So to fold, go around the edge of the bowl and then cut through the middle. Around the edge and cut through the middle. Okay. So we're using self-raising flour again. So that's just going to help, obviously, to get the cupcakes to rise, just like with the scones. So 2 things help the cupcakes rise: self-raising flour and all of the air we've incorporated into the mixture through creaming. So you want all of that flour to be in. Make sure you're getting around the edge of the bowl. Don't want any dry flour around the edge there. And then you should end up with a mixture that looks like that. Then you can add your flavourings. So I've got some vanilla. If you're unsure, I just guess with vanilla. But if you're unsure, just do a couple of capfuls. Oh. That should be enough. And then I've got some chocolate chips. Don't weigh chocolate chips, just put however many you want in. Half a packet. There. And then once again, make sure you're folding those ingredients in. Don't beat them in like crazy because it's going to knock all of that air out. Okay. And then your mixture is ready to go into your cupcake cases. Boring talking to yourself.
You're entertaining us.
Brilliant. Right. And then do our one. Okay, when your mixture is ready to go in, I've got measuring spoons. If you don't use these at home, you can use a tablespoon, a normal tablespoon, or a normal dessert spoon, that's fine. It doesn't matter what you use, as long as you've got the similar amount in each cupcake case. So I'm gonna use a tablespoon like this, okay? Fill it up, and then we're just gonna dollop that mixture in. Just use one finger. cupcake cases filled there, similar amount in each one. These then go into a preheated oven. I forgot to say that at the start. So your oven should be on at 180 and they're gonna go in for about 18 to 20 minutes. Okay, we're gonna turn them halfway through as well. So they go in. And then we're gonna look at the time and these are gonna come out in 20 minutes from now. Okay, so at 10 to 12. And then we get washed up for all of our parents, please, and the sides cleared down so that they don't have to do it, okay? Okay, year 7. So, cupcakes have now come out of the oven, okay? You can see they're much more risen than what they were initially because we have the self-raising flouring and because we incorporated all that air. If you are going to ice your cupcakes, that's absolutely fine, but you must take them out of the tray and you must leave them to cool for a really long time. I know the temptation is to just whack some icing on there as quick as possible. If you do that too quickly before these are cool, I guarantee your icing will all just melt and slide off. Okay, so leave them to cool before icing. We're just gonna have a quick look in the middle of one. Okay, so what we're looking for in the middle of a cupcake is it to be a nice, light, fluffy sponge. Well, this is falling apart a little bit, this one. Okay, so it's still quite warm as well, so it's still a lot of moisture in there, so it's going to be quite damp. Okay, but that is what you're looking for. All of those little air pockets that we can see there, that's what we want. If this had no air pockets in it at all, that would be, and they weren't risen, that would be a sign that either your measurements were off, or you didn't cream that mixture well enough. Perhaps your butter was really cold and then you just had lots of lumpy butter in there, or maybe you used the wrong type of flour. Okay, but we are looking for these really tiny little air pockets and that's what helps the cake rise. Okay, so there you go. Then you can scoff them. Lovely job. Right, done. Do your form. See you later.